I've never been the kind of guy to jump to conclusions or suspect my wife Lisa of anything shady. We've been together for 8 years, married for 5, and I thought we had a pretty solid relationship. Sure, we had our disagreements, but who does? The last trip we took with her family was supposed to be just a fun weekend getaway. We packed up the kids, and Lisa was her usual bitchy self, snapping at everyone and acting like she was too busy to deal with anything that wasn't about her. Honestly, I kinda ignored it because I figured she was stressed with work or whatever. But then, things started to feel off. Little things. She was more secretive with her phone, hiding it when I'd walk into the room, deleting messages, and sometimes she'd get this weird, defensive look on her face when I asked about her day. She'd brush it off, call me paranoid, or accuse me of overthinking. But I knew better. I've always trusted her, but there's a line you don't cross, and I started to notice she was crossing it. It all blew up when I found her phone. Accidentally. I was just trying to check the weather for the trip, and there it was, a message thread with her boss, Mark. The messages weren't just work stuff. They were flirty, intimate, talking about late nights, secret meetings, and how they needed to get away from everyone else. I felt like I was punched in the gut. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Mark was married too, which just made everything 10 times worse. I scrolled through the messages, my hands trembling. There were photos too. Hotel photos, a bed, a bathroom mirror shot, and one of her in a bikini I'd never seen before, taken in a hotel room far away from our family trip. I couldn't believe she'd hide all this from me, lie to my face about work friendships. She told me she was just a professional, that Mark was just an old friend from work. Yeah, right. I'd seen how she looked at him, how she'd flirt when she thought I wasn't watching. I knew it wasn't just work. It was something else, something she was hiding from me. I felt sick, betrayed, angry. I never thought Lisa would do something like this. I mean, she's always been bitchy and manipulative, always had a sharp tongue and knew exactly how to push my buttons, but I never thought she'd cheat. Not with her boss, Mark. That's career suicide, right? But there it was, clear as day. The evidence was right there and I couldn't unsee it. That night I waited until she was asleep, then I grabbed her phone and looked through her messages again. I wanted to be sure. I needed to see if there was more. And there was. The messages continued even after the trip started, getting more explicit, more desperate. I saw her talking about how good it felt to be with someone who truly understands her, and about how Mark always made her feel alive. That's when I realized it wasn't just some stupid work crush. It was a full-blown affair, and it had been going on for months. I couldn't believe she'd lie so easily, act like everything was normal, then sneak around behind my back. I started to think about all the signs I missed, her coming home late, her weird phone habits, the times she'd cancel plans at the last minute. All of it made sense now, but it also made me feel like a fool. How did I not see it sooner? I always thought she loved me, but maybe that was just a lie she told herself, or maybe she just didn't care enough about me to be honest. The worst part, I knew I had to confront her. I couldn't keep going like this, living in this lie. The temptation to just walk away, to pretend I never saw anything, was strong. But I needed to hear what she had to say, her excuses, her lies, her bullshit. Because if she was capable of cheating on me with her boss, what else was she capable of? I was angry, hurt, and honestly confused. All I knew was my life was about to change forever, and I wasn't sure if I was ready for it. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. My mind kept replaying the images from her phone, the messages, the photos. I was furious, but also devastated. I never saw this coming, not from Lisa. She always acted like she loved me, like I was the only one who mattered. That was until I saw those messages. Now I was questioning everything, her words, her actions, the whole damn relationship. I knew I couldn't just sit on this and let it fester. I had to confront her. But how? I wanted her to admit everything. I needed her to be honest. So I decided I'd wait until she came home from work, but I knew she'd lie, deny, try to manipulate her way out of it. That's what she did best. Bitch, lie, deny. I had to catch her off guard. When she finally got home, she was her usual bitchy self, already snapping at the kids and complaining about her day. I kept my cool, hiding the storm inside. The moment was right, so I looked her dead in the eyes and said, "We need to talk, now." Her face shifted, confused at first, then defensive. She immediately started that act, trying to downplay everything. "What are you talking about? I don't know what you saw, but you're just overthinking again. You always jump to conclusions. Maybe you're insecure." I cut her off. "No, Lisa, I saw your messages, the ones with Mark, the hotel photos. Don't lie to me, I know everything." Her eyes widened for a second, then she threw her head back and rolled her eyes. "Oh, come on, you're being dramatic. Those are just work emails, and maybe I took a few pictures, but it's nothing serious. You're blowing it out of proportion. Mark's just a friend. We're not doing anything wrong." Her voice was sharp, dismissive, like she thought she could just brush this off. But I wasn't buying it. I was shaking, not from her words, but from the betrayal. Pressed harder. "You're lying. I saw the messages, how you talk about sneaking away, how you want to see him, how you feel alive when you're with him. Don't insult my intelligence. I know you're cheating. I saw everything." My voice cracked and I could feel the anger bubbling up. Her face twisted into a sneer. "Oh, so now I'm a cheat, really? You think I'd cheat on you with him? Please. You're just paranoid. Maybe I was working late, or maybe I was talking to a friend, but I swear there's nothing going on. You're just imagining things because you're insecure. That's all this is." I couldn't believe she was lying so blatantly. She was good at it, too. Her bitchy attitude, that smirk she always had when she thought she was winning, made me want to scream. But I knew I couldn't just lose my temper, at least not yet. I needed to get her to admit something, anything. I had to see how far I could push her. I sat there, staring at her, feeling a mix of rage, hurt, and disbelief. I wanted to grab her by the shoulders and shake her, scream at her for betraying everything we had. How could she throw away our marriage, the kids, everything, for some sex with her boss? Did she even care? She kept insisting she was innocent, that I was overreacting. But her tone was unconvincing. Her words sounded hollow, like she'd been rehearsing her lies. I knew then I couldn't trust her anymore. Not in the same way, not with my heart. I was starting to realize that this wasn't just about one mistake. It was about everything I thought I knew crumbling before my eyes. I told her I needed some time to think, to process what I found. She sneered again, said I was overreacting, that I was just jealous and possessive. But I didn't care about her excuses anymore. All I could feel was this deep, aching betrayal. I knew I had to decide what to do next, but I also knew that nothing would ever be the same after this. Everything had changed in an instant, and I was left standing there, wondering if I'd ever be able to trust her again. After she left the room to give me some space, I stayed there staring at the ceiling, trying to breathe through the storm inside. My mind was racing in 1,000 directions. Part of me wanted to just call her bluff, grab her, yell at her, or maybe even throw her out right then. But another part, more rational, knew I needed to cool down, gather my thoughts, and figure out what the hell I was going to do next. I started to think about everything we'd been through, all the good times, the bad times, the moments I thought we'd build a life together. And then I remembered how she always dismissed my feelings, called me insecure if I ever questioned her. She'd never admit to anything, always had some excuse ready. Her bitchy attitude, her sharp tongue, her tendency to manipulate. That was her style, lie, deny, and act like the victim. But I saw through it now. I decided I'd check her phone again just to be sure. It felt like an obsession, but I needed closure, even if it tore me apart. I unlocked her screen and started scrolling through her messages. I found more recent ones, also with Mark, talking about meetings, trips, secret moments, and how she felt like she was finally getting the attention she craved. It was relentless. It was all there, plain as day. Then I saw something that made my blood run cold, an upcoming trip with Mark. They'd planned it for a weekend, just the two of them. No kids, no friends, just her, him, and some hotel. I couldn't believe she'd planned it like that, so casual, so blatant. She never mentioned it to me. Not a word. Just kept talking about work, about how busy she was, how stressed she was. She lied so effortlessly, but I'd caught her now. The betrayal started to sink in even deeper. She was willing to leave her own family behind for some secret affair. I felt a mixture of rage and heartbreak because, despite everything, I still loved her, or at least I thought I did. But now I wasn't so sure. How could someone I trusted so much do this to me, to us? It felt like I'd been living in a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. I kept reading her messages, searching for some sign that she'd admit the truth herself. But she didn't. Instead, she kept lying, denying everything, as if I was just imagining it all. That was the worst part, her cold, bitchy tone, like she thought she could manipulate her way out of this mess. I realized I had to confront her again, but this time with a plan. I couldn't just accuse her and hope she'd crack. I needed her to admit the full extent of what she'd done. I also knew I had to prepare for a potential breakup or even a divorce. I wasn't about to get played like some fool. I'd been humiliated enough. So I started to gather evidence, save the messages, take screenshots. I wanted proof that I could show her later, proof she couldn't deny, no matter how bitchy or manipulative she got. I also decided I'd talk to a lawyer, just to know what my rights were, what I was up against. It hit me hard that I was about to lose my wife, my family, the life I thought I knew. But I also knew I couldn't stay blind to the truth anymore. Deep down, I felt broken. I'd always tried to be the good guy, to hold everything together. Maybe I'd been naive, thinking love alone could fix everything. But now I saw her for what she really was, someone willing to betray her own family for a quick fuck, for some validation from her boss. That realization crushed me. I didn't know what the future held, but one thing was clear. I'd never trust her again, not the same way. And everything I'd believed in was shattered in that moment. After I had all the evidence I needed, screenshots of the messages, photos, and plans for the trip, I felt like I was carrying a weight I couldn't drop. My mind kept bouncing between rage and sadness, and I knew I couldn't keep pretending I was okay. I decided enough was enough. I needed to confront her again, but this time I had to be prepared for whatever she threw at me. When she came back into the room, I looked her directly in the eyes and told her I knew everything. Her face instantly hardened, that bitchy smirk returning. She tried to brush it off, call me crazy, say I was overreacting, but I didn't let her. I laid out all the evidence on the table, screenshots, photos, everything I'd found. She looked shocked for a split second, then her eyes narrowed. "You're crazy," she snapped. "You've been spying on me. I knew you didn't trust me, but this is just ridiculous." Her tone was dismissive, like I was some jealous fool making a scene over nothing. I felt my blood boil. "No, Lisa, I'm not crazy. I saw the messages, the hotel photos. You planned a trip with him behind my back. You're cheating on me. How long has this been going on?" Her face twisted into a sneer. "You're nuts. Mark's just a friend, okay? We talk about work, that's it. You're just jealous because I look good and he pays attention to me. That's your problem, not mine." She crossed her arms, acting like she was dismissing a petty argument. I shook my head in disbelief. A friend who talks about sneaking away, feeling alive when he's around, and planning trips, that's not just a work relationship. Don't lie to me anymore. I deserve honesty. She rolled her eyes and started to raise her voice. "You're overreacting. You don't understand how women work. Maybe you're just insecure, or maybe I'm bored of this marriage. Maybe I need someone who actually makes me feel alive. All you ever do is accuse me, control me, and make everything about yourself." I was stunned. Her words hit me harder than I expected. I had always tried to be supportive, to trust her, but now I could see how manipulative she was. She didn't care about me or the family. It was all about her, her needs, her ego. And then she threw the final blow. "If you're so damn perfect, why did I even cheat? Maybe you're just too dull for me. And honestly, I don't care if you're hurt. I'll do what I want." That's when I realized I had reached a breaking point. I looked at her bitchy face, and felt the cold truth settle in. This wasn't going to change. I couldn't fix a woman who had made her choice so clearly. I knew I had to decide whether to fight for her or walk away for good. But right then, I also knew that I'd be damned if I stayed in a marriage where the woman I loved was willing to throw everything away for some affair, some meaningless sex. My trust was shattered, and I felt like I was losing myself in the process. I spent that night lying in bed, staring at the ceiling and thinking about what I wanted. I knew I deserved better, but the pain of betrayal was still fresh. I wasn't sure what the future held, but I knew I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay anymore. The truth was out, and I had to face the reality of what we'd become, two people who had lost their way. The next morning, I woke up with a heavy feeling in my chest. I knew I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. My mind kept circling back to that night, to all the lies, the betrayal, the emptiness I felt inside. I realized I had to make a decision, whether to fight for the marriage or to cut it loose and go on without her. I also knew that whatever choice I made, my life was never going to be the same. I spent hours that day in a daze, trying to come up with a clear plan. I called a lawyer first thing in the morning just to understand my rights. The lawyer confirmed what I already suspected. If I decided to divorce, I'd have a strong case. Her affair with Mark, especially with the proof I had, would make it easier to get full custody of the kids and protect my assets. That knowledge gave me a strange sense of relief, but it also made me feel like I was losing her forever. Meanwhile, Lisa kept up her act, acting like nothing had happened, throwing around her usual bitchy comments, trying to blame me, saying I was the one who caused this mess. She denied everything, of course, calling me paranoid and insecure. I just nodded and let her talk. I knew she was trying to manipulate me to make me doubt myself, but I had the evidence and I knew the truth. Her lies didn't matter anymore. That night I sat her down one last time. I told her I knew everything about Mark, the hotel photos, the plans for the upcoming trip. I said I couldn't stay in a marriage where I was constantly lied to and betrayed. I told her I was done playing her game. If she wanted to continue lying and pretending nothing happened, that was her choice. But I was done. Her bitchy attitude didn't change. She sneered at me, told me I was overreacting, that I was just jealous. She said she didn't want to be married to someone who didn't trust her. I looked at her and said, maybe it's better if we separate. I don't want to live in this lie anymore. I want a divorce. She looked surprised for a second, then her face twisted into pure contempt. Fine, she spat. Go ahead. You'll regret losing me, but I don't care. I'm done pretending I was perfect for you. I knew I had to act fast. I told her I'd file the papers, that I wanted a clean break. She scoffed, said I'd never find someone who loved me like she did. The next few days were a blur. I gathered my things, told the kids I needed some space, and started the process of separating from Lisa. It hurt more than I could say, more than I'd ever expected. I'd loved her once, maybe still did in some sick, broken way, but I couldn't keep living in her shadow, not knowing if she was lying, cheating, or just pretending to care. Looking back now, I realize how naive I was to trust someone so bitchy and manipulative. But I also learned something important. Sometimes the only way to move on is to cut out the poison. I might have lost her, but I gained clarity. I learned that love isn't just about forgiving all the lies and betrayal. It's about knowing your worth and walking away when someone doesn't deserve you. This experience has torn me apart, but it's also made me stronger. I don't know what's next, but I do know I'm done with the lies. I'll rebuild myself from this mess, and maybe someday I'll find someone who actually values honesty and loyalty. Until then, I'll just keep moving forward, no matter how much it hurts. Now looking back, I realize how much this whole ordeal changed me. I thought I knew Lisa, thought I knew us, but I was blind. She was bitchy and manipulative from the start, and I ignored the warning signs because I wanted to believe in the fairy tale ending. But life doesn't work that way. People betray you, and sometimes you only see the truth when it's staring you in the face, undeniable and cold. Living through this betrayal was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. The pain of realizing the person I trusted most had been lying and cheating behind my back was almost unbearable. The feelings of shame, anger, and sadness hit me every day for a while. I kept asking myself how I didn't see it, how I could have been so naive. But over time, I started to understand that it wasn't just about her. This was about my own worth, my boundaries, and what I deserved. I've come to accept that I can't control what Lisa did or what she chose. She made her decisions, and I made mine. I chose to walk away, to protect myself and my kids from her toxicity. That wasn't an easy decision, but it was the right one. I've been in therapy since then, trying to piece myself back together. It's a long road, and sometimes I still get angry or feel like I failed in some way. But I remind myself that I did what I had to do. Most importantly, I've learned to trust myself more, not to ignore the red flags, and not to let someone's bitchy attitude or manipulative lies make me doubt my instincts. I've started rebuilding my life, focusing on my children, my career, and my own happiness. It's not perfect. I still have days where I feel lonely or wonder if I'll ever find someone who truly values honesty and loyalty. But I know now that I deserve that. This experience has been a brutal wake-up call, and I won't let it define me. Instead, I'll use it as a lesson, not just about betrayal and heartbreak, but about the importance of self-respect. No more blind trust in someone who doesn't deserve it. No more accepting bullshit from a bitchy wife who only cared about herself. I'm done being a victim. I'm rebuilding my life, one day at a time, with my eyes wide open. To anyone reading this who might be going through something similar, trust your gut. Don't ignore the signs. And if someone shows you they're not worth it, walk away. Because in the end, the only person you can truly count on is yourself. And that's what I've learned the hard way.